everybody, and welcome to Bonding with the Feminine. I'm very excited and very happy to have you here with me on this specific episode or video that we are going to be talking about feminine energy in itself. With this being one of the very first kind of content creations we'll be putting out in the Bonding with the Feminine world, I wanted to start at baseline and get into feminine energy, kind of what it means to have feminine energy, to be a woman in this feminine body. And along with that comes the phases of our cycles, which I really do want to hit and educate on, because I think there will be a lot of women that come across this page or this video not necessarily knowing what our cycle actually is or the different phases that come with our cycle. And which is okay, because I was a young girl once who was growing up and going through health class and learning about, okay, you're gonna get your period, this is kind of what it is. And that was it. That was the gist of it. The rest of health class might have been about, not having sex or safe sex, or like not drinking, stuff like that. We never really went into the full anatomy of a woman's body and what that meant and the different phases that came with the cycle. So I'm here to educate. Education is empowerment, and I think kind of starting at baseline is a good way to build and work ourselves up here at Bonding with the Feminine. So jumping right in, what is feminine energy? First off, I do want to say that feminine energy coincides with masculine energy. They work together in a yin and yang balance, so to speak. With that being said, all men and women carry feminine and masculine energy, and there is a feminine and masculine energy quality to this universe. If you believe in universal energy, which I totally do, we have both circulating us all the time. We are definitely focused on feminine energy here at Bonding with the Feminine. So what is that? Feminine energy shows up in terms of being more sensitive, being more intuitive, being more creative, being more observant, maybe a little bit more introspective, just being a little bit softer and gentler. That is what most people will associate with feminine energy. In terms of masculine energy, you would associate things like strength, power, the doing of such in a manner that is very not aggressive, but a little bit more I don't want to use the word aggressive, because right now we're living in a society where toxic masculinity is 110% a trend. Not a trend, but that is what we've been bred on. So I don't want to use aggressive, because there is a beautiful place for masculine energy. Just think, I guess, power, strength, doing, kind of getting things done, building things. So yeah, that is masculine and feminine energy, and they are friends. They need each other, essentially. Give you with masculine and feminine energy. It's happening right now in real time. So, as I was trying to explain the difference between masculine and feminine energy, there was this gentleman outside my window doing artwork at our neighbor's house, just kind of cranking his weed whacker, being super loud, while I'm trying to, be in touch with my feminine energy and be fluid and all these different things. That is the greatest example. He's literally just doing his job, trying to get things done. And I'm trying to be just like intuitive and speak intuitively and be soft and talk about feminine energy. Very funny. Along with that, there was just this huge semi-esque vehicle pulling up to drop off some kind of machinery to be digging in the ground with a truck full of men, and it's just like I'm just existing, trying to be in the feminine with all this going on around me. Love that. So there you have it, masculine and feminine energy. They coexist, and that's a perfect example of what they are. Anyways, with this being Bonding with the Feminine, we're focused on the feminine energy, and I want to kind of start off with the basis of talking about femininity, specifically physically and anatomically right now, because I want to educate on our cycle and the different phases that come with our cycles. I mentioned earlier being a younger woman and learning about getting your period or menstruating, and that's kind of the basis of what you learn. They don't really go in depth of our actual female anatomy and the different phases of our cycles and what they are and what comes with it. So if we can take it down to base level and build off of that, I think that would be super beneficial for kind of anybody who indulges in this content. First and foremost, I want to start with the luteal phase, which is not everybody's favorite phase. It is that small window of time before you get your period. PMS is heavily associated with your luteal phase. I think that if we can educate on the luteal phase and kind of know what it is and what comes with it and what's happening in the body, we can make better decisions to support the luteal phase, and in turn it might become, a little bit more comfortable for you. The luteal phase, if this makes it easier for you, let's think about the seasons of the year. So luteal phase would be heavily associated with fall. Fall is the time where things kind of slow down a little bit. The weather's changing. It's still nice weather, but it's getting a little bit colder. The days are getting a little bit shorter. The leaves on the trees are changing colors. They're falling off. We're getting ready to kind of hibernate, which goes with winter would be menstruation. So we're preparing for that. In terms of us as women, what that would look like would be our energy is lower, our mood is a little bit lower, we're wanting to rest more, we're kind of needing to take care of ourselves more, we're a little bit more emotional, we're more sensitive to our outer world and what's going on around us, and our inner world also gets a little bit louder too, that kind of inner voice that you're hearing. A lot of us do not understand the importance of slowing down with our luteal phase, and we continue to kind of just take life at that rapid speed that we usually are in. It's not working. And how you treat yourself in your luteal phase directly reflects how your menstruation is going to go. Women, going at that fast pace is not working during our luteal phase. We need to make better decisions for ourselves. So what can we do? We can say no more often. We don't need to be as social or as active as we usually are the other maybe 2.5 weeks out of the month, and it's perfectly okay to say no. You know what, I can't, I'm actually going to go to bed early tonight, get an extra hour of sleep, because we need to prioritize sleep all the time, but especially during the luteal phase. Boom, super easy. Maybe we need to be taking more baths or more long hot showers. Even if you don't take baths, start taking baths. Epsom salt baths specifically, because Epsom salt blasts your body with magnesium. We need magnesium as women, especially in the luteal phase, and we're also able to detox because our body is naturally trying to detox specific hormones anyways, so we can trigger menstruation. So the Epsom salt helps in a couple different ways, and it's just relaxing the body. Amazing stuff. Definitely will help with cramping. I know a lot of women experience uterine cramping during their menstruation. Epsom salt baths are literally, they might even eliminate the menstrual cramping, which is amazing. I specifically experienced that. Times where I had my luteal phase, if I'm able to take maybe 2 or 3 baths in that luteal phase, my menstruation cramping is almost non-existent, very minimal when that time comes. So, luteal phase. We're sleeping more, we're kind of just, we're resting, not just sleeping, but resting more. We're maybe spending more time just slowing down. We're eating, protein forward diets. We're drinking a lot of fluids. We're just taking care of ourselves the best way we know how. Leading into menstruation after your luteal phase. So I mentioned winter. Menstruation is winter. We are hibernating. So everything that went with the luteal phase, the rest, the taking care of ourselves, the hydrating, the nutrition, we want to still incorporate that in the menstruation phase, but even more so. So just following the basis of fall and then coming into winter, and we're hibernating. What a lot of women don't necessarily realize or know is during menstruation, we get a lot of downloads. I would say after the first or second day, there's clarity that comes in after the first bleed phase is kind of over, the heaviest bleed stage is over. There's a lot of clarity that comes with when you're menstruating. You are detoxing, you are releasing a lot of tissues, a lot of cells, and what some of us may not know is we store almost all of our emotions in our tissues, and we're detoxing all that. We're getting rid of all that came with the month prior. We are letting that go. So very important to stay in that introspective state and let the clarity come in, let the decision making, put it on pause, but when that clarity comes in, boom, you got your answer. That's kind of the second half of menstruation. The first half goes along with the luteal phase. The second half is more of like, okay, we're kind of coming out of that hibernation mode. We feel like our energy is starting to pick back up again. Our head feels a little bit clearer. Okay. And then, your mood might dip back down a little bit, maybe towards the end of the fourth or fifth day, and then it'll pop back up again after the cycle is over. It's different for everybody, but this is kind of maybe just the natural cycle that all of us women can go off of. So after coming out of menstruation, after coming out of winter, we have spring. Spring represents our follicular phase, one of my favorites. It just is like a big deep breath, and things are lighter, the grass is getting green, the flowers, they're starting to pop out of the ground, the trees are starting to bud, the sun is coming out way more, it's higher in the sky. There's just a lighter energy that's overcoming us, and we can breathe a little bit easier, and we're smiling more, right? We're feeling the sun on our face, and we're feeling hopeful coming out of winter. That is our follicular phase. So between menstruating and ovulation, follicular phase, we are light, we're energetic, we're feeling creative, we're feeling clear in the headspace. It's a good spot to really, pick up the momentum. Maybe we're doing a little bit more. Maybe we're taking the things that we were being introspective on during the luteal and the menstrual phase, and that clarity that kind of came after. We're taking what we've learned and we're being able to implement it and plant seeds for whatever it is that we were going through. That's our follicular phase. We're feeling better. We're feeling like spring. Moving on from the follicular phase, we have ovulation. Love ovulation. Hell yeah. This is the most creative phase that we're going to go through as women. This is the time where we can create life if we want, right? If we want. But ovulation goes with summer. Summer, if you live in a part of the US or the world like I do, we go through all of the seasons. Summer is, I wouldn't say the best, but maybe the best for certain reasons. It's warm. It's way more sunny than any other part of the year. You can be outside all day long. You can do so many activities. You can hike, you can swim, you can go for a walk, you can be outside playing sports, you can be in your garden, you can just be cooking all these amazing things because we have so much to offer during summer. Summer is the season to create, to do. This is ovulation. Our energy is super high. We're feeling good, we're clear-headed, we feel like we can lift a car, a house. We're feeling so strong and so creative. We're feeling sexy, we want to procreate, all these things. This is ovulation, this is summer. This is us as women. These are the phases that we go through. These are the hormonal fluctuations that we go through. And knowing this and knowing the energy, maybe the feeling that comes with each phase of our cycle, we can make different decisions to support ourselves as women. And knowing we change, we flow up and down. That is who we are as women. Accepting that we aren't always gonna feel 110%. we aren't always going to be able to be in that creative headspace, to be in that decision-making space. That's not who we are. And when you recognize that and you accept it and you lean into the changes, man, things elevate, honestly, because you are now working, you're not working against your body. You're working with your body. You're fluid with the changes, and that makes all of the difference. And I think if we can take this information and lock it in and start making just the smallest decisions to go in alignment with these changes, we are going to start thriving. You will start thriving in your own body, but then also in turn, as a collective of feminine, things are going to improve. So with that being said, all of the beautiful cycle information, where do we start? How do we get to this point of knowing our body so well and feeling what's going on inside of us and being able to act or make decisions accordingly? How I started was I just downloaded a cycle tracking app on my phone. I can't remember the first one. The first one I might have had was Glow. It's like maybe a purple one. They might have changed the color sense, but that's the first one I had. I now use Flow, and there's some that are free and then there's some that cost a little bit of money. I think I pay a little bit of money for Flow, but whatever app that you have access to that works for your specific wherever you're at, download it. And I think the best way to do it is to wait until your period comes and then go on the app and log that first day of your period. And then it'll ask you maybe how long your period lasts, and you can guess, but then once your period's over, definitely go back in and you can change, however long it was. Excuse me. And that's a great way to start, because after you're logging for, a month, 2 months, maybe 3 months, that app is going to take all the information you've been putting in, and the predictions will become more accurate. So you'll have a very clear, pretty close to accurate picture of, okay, I'm gonna start menstruating here, or my luteal phase is gonna start, I'm gonna start feeling certain things, my energy is gonna drop. Okay, I'm probably gonna get my period on this day, maybe the day before or the day after, maybe a couple days after, just depends on what's going on in your body that specific month. Okay, my period's gonna end. Okay, here's my follicular phase. Okay, I'm gonna ovulate this week. Okay, my peak fertility is going to be these 1 to 3 days within the ovulation window. What's really cool about these apps is the predictions. They give you a fertile window, so you're fertile for these 5 days, but you're ovulating this day, so you're really fertile within this fertile window. The details are amazing in these apps. And like I said, when you log consistently for a couple months, you start to, what's going on with the app. The app is just a tool for you. Really what happens when you're logging consistently is you start to hear what's going on in your body. You start to feel what's coming along with the cycles, because you can see the cycles right in front of you. This is what the cycle is, and you're feeling what's going on in your body, and you start to relate the two. So after maybe 4 to 6 months, you're like, I can feel, I know my luteal phase just started. I can feel that drop in energy. I can feel that inconsistent mood pattern happening, or my period's definitely about to start. Those feelings are there, right? And it's amazing. And there's times where where I'm at, I might go a couple months without even paying too much attention to my cycle tracking app, and I could just feel it. And I'm like, damn, I'm moody. Let me go on and see. And I go into Flow, and it's like, your period is going to start in 5 or 4 days. And you're like, oh, okay. Or your luteal phase has just started, and it's 10 days before your period, or whatever it is. And you're like, okay, this makes so much sense. It's amazing. With that being said, I will say luteal phase lengths or durations fluctuate for women. Menstrual phases fluctuate for women. It's different for everybody, and depending on what you have going on in your life, whether you had more stress that month or less stress, or you did a really good job taking care of yourself, or maybe you could have done a better job, or maybe you just couldn't have done as good of a job as you wanted to, it'll change depending on the amount of stress that we're putting on our bodies. Those feelings might be a little bit more intense, or the period might be a couple days behind. And this is also something you're going to notice as you are paying more attention to your body and you're tracking how you're feeling. Depending on what has transpired leading up to whatever it is you're feeling, the things are going to fluctuate. So moving forward from what we just spoke about, I will go ahead and in the comments, I'm going to post the cycle tracking apps that I have used specifically that I really enjoyed, which will be a good place for certain women to start if that's where you're starting. Another thing I will do is go ahead and list certain things that I prioritize depending on the different phases of the cycle, my cycle that I'm in. So what I do during my luteal phase, my menstruation, my follicular, and my ovulation phase. Just certain decisions that I make, or certain tools that I have, or certain things that I use to kind of make that change and energy a little bit easier, just to support myself and my body as a woman. All right, I think that is it. That's all we have for this specific video. I'm very, very thankful for you being here. Really just you're here, you're watching this, you're listening to this, you're just showing up for yourself, you're taking initiative for your own well-being as a woman, and that feminine wisdom and the feminine energy that is in us and all around us. So honestly, thank yourself, pat on the back for being here. And I truly believe that if we can kind of get these basic or base knowledge as women, we can start living a better life that's more aligned and a lot healthier. This go mentality, or needing to kind of keep up with the flow of the universe, this kind of very masculine driven society that we are currently in, if we can take a step back and kind of tune into our bodies, I think a lot of energy is going to improve for sure, but maybe a lot of all these kind of health issues we're seeing within women, whether it's, infertility, endometriosis, PCOS, all of those uncomfortable things that women are feeling and going through, if we can take control of what's going on in our bodies and really get into our bodies, maybe we can alleviate some of this physical, mental, energetic stress that's going on, and we can elevate. So once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing yourself and listening, and we'll see you